The standard path to intelligence is paved with decades of formal schooling, 12 years of grade school, 4 years of college, and maybe 6 more in graduate school. Yet for many, the primary result of this 22-year investment is a mountain of debt and the ability to articulate their unemployment in perfect English. When that fails, we turn to the internet's collection of brain hacks. We try to eat more blueberries, drink black coffee, or listen to classical music, hoping these physiological shortcuts will somehow translate into mastery of complex subjects. These habits are symptoms of being smart, not the cause. Following this type of vague lifestyle optimization is only feasible for a tiny elite with the time and resources to treat their daily routine like a full-time job. Left without a clear method, most students default to the hard way. They rely on sheer discipline, fueled by the adrenaline of a deadline, only finding the motivation to learn when a paper worth half their grade is due the next morning. Forcing yourself through material you don't actually like produces mediocre results. Relying on academic suffering or biohacks doesn't create a genius, it just leads to burnout. The real barrier to becoming smart is the stubborn mindset. We see this in people who make hating math or hating equations a core part of their personality, essentially closing the door on improvement before they even start. Our actual goal is often social. We want to sound smart enough to be respected and solve problems for money, but without sounding like an obnoxious nerd who can't hold a normal conversation. The easy way to achieve this is total flexibility. You have to be willing to drop your pride and let the stubborn, defensive part of your brain die so that a more curious version can take its place. Becoming a genius isn't a matter of genetics or a high IQ. It is a matter of removing the ego that refuses to look foolish while asking a basic question. Acquiring raw knowledge begins with reading. Fiction develops your vocabulary and social intuition through dialogue, while nonfiction provides the interesting tidbits that command respect in a conversation. The danger is becoming the "well, actually" guy. When someone notes our evolution from chimpanzees, this person interrupts to explain that evolution is nonlinear and that we merely shared a common ancestor. In the real world, correcting people like that makes you instantly unlikable. Instead, try teaching what you know with humility. Frame the information as something you recently discovered, making the other person feel like they are learning with you rather than being lectured. You don't need to be an expert to be effective. The learning curve shows that mastering just 20% of Percentec's core knowledge yields 80% of the practical skill. Gathering information is a social tool. If your ego makes you so obnoxious that no one wants to engage with you, the facts you've learned are effectively worthless. Real thinking is a split brain exercise. It is the active process of taking a thought your subconscious sends you and creating an internal counterposition to argue against it. Use this to scrutinize your own excuses. If you believe you are too emotional for logic-heavy STEM subjects, look for the logical structures in things you're already good at, like English essays, to prove that belief wrong. If a teacher or a textbook fails to make a concept click, don't assume the subject is too complicated. Swallow your pride and use AI to strip the concept down to its most basic, childlike level. You can ask ChatGPT to explain the fundamentals of quantum physics as if you were 5 years old. Once the simple version makes sense, you can gradually increase the complexity until you understand the high-level equations. Intellectual processing requires you to be the primary critic of your own mind. You have to aggressively interrogate your assumptions rather than accepting the first thought that feels comfortable. Your brain is designed to forget. If you don't provide a reason to use a piece of information immediately, your subconscious labels it as useless fluff and deletes it to save space. This makes artificial practice essential. If you are learning to jumpstart a car but don't have a dead battery in front of you, you must vividly mentally simulate every step of the process to convince your brain the data is valuable. You can even manufacture these high-stakes scenarios. Pretend your survival depends on naming every part of a dividing human cell. When your brain believes the stakes are high, it immediately begins to prioritize that memory. Intelligence is essentially the art of tricking your brain. Information only becomes permanent when your mind is convinced that your survival depends on retaining it. Textbooks are the most efficient format for rapid learning because they are built on this principle. They provide dense, distraction-free information paired with immediate practice questions that simulate the pressure of a real-world application. Writing acts as formalized thinking. It's a constant loop. You write down what you think you know, realize how much of it is actually nonsense, reflect, and then update your beliefs. Being smart means finding your dopamine in the improvement of your ideas. You prioritize reaching a more truthful conclusion over the fleeting satisfaction of having your initial thoughts validated. I challenge you to start this practice today. Pick up a book on a topic that intimidates you, drop your need to be right, and begin the lifelong process of unlearning your own biases. The highest form of genius is the specific courage required to let your bad ideas die so that you don't have to.